counter-sanctions have banned the import of all food from the United States and fresh fruit from Europe, where Russia was by far the biggest importer.
Western companies, remember what they said in 2022? We will leave Russia. We will not support Putin's invasion. That's what Western companies said in 2022. Well, it's 2024, and guess what? Most of them are still operating in Russia.
Now, Russia is the most sanctioned country in the world, and yet this year its economy is set to grow faster than all advanced economies, according to the International Monetary Fund.
The Western world imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia following its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. These sanctions targeted Russia's financial sector, energy exports, trade, and technology, aiming to cripple its economy and force policy shifts. However, despite these sweeping measures, Russia has managed to mitigate much of the intended damage. Through strategic financial maneuvers, trade realignments, and leveraging third-party nations, the country has demonstrated remarkable resilience. In this video, we'll explore exactly how Russia navigated and overcame Western sanctions, defying expectations. We'll analyze the different phases of sanctions, their initial impact, and the countermeasures Russia used to stabilize its economy. By the end of this deep dive, you'll understand the broader implications of these sanctions on global trade and geopolitics. The wave of sanctions against Russia. The sanctions against Russia unfolded in multiple stages, each aimed at a specific sector of its economy. The Western coalition sought to limit Russia's access to global financial systems, curb its lucrative energy exports, and restrict its ability to import essential technology and goods. 1. Financial sector sanctions. February 2022, major Russian banks were banned from SWIFT, restricting their ability to conduct international financial transactions. The Russian central bank's foreign reserves, over $400 billion, were frozen, limiting Russia's ability to stabilize its currency. December 2023, the U.S. imposed secondary sanctions on global financial institutions aiding Russia's defense sector, significantly reducing its ability to fund military operations. 2. Energy sector sanctions. February 2022, Germany suspended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, a crucial energy link between Russia and Europe. March 2022, the US banned Russian oil, LNG, and coal imports, with the UK phasing out Russian oil by year's end. December 2022, the EU embargoed Russian seaborne crude oil, enforcing a G7 price cap of $60 per barrel to limit Russia's oil revenue. December 2023, the US and UK banned Russian aluminum, copper, and nickel imports, further reducing Russia's trade leverage. 3. Trade and export controls. Western countries restricted exports of high-tech equipment, semiconductors, software, and aerospace technology, essential for Russia's defense and civilian industries. The EU banned Russian gold imports in July 2022, striking another blow to Russia's economy. The US and UK expanded their export bans on strategic metals in April 2024, further cutting off key resources for Russia's manufacturing sector. 4. Transportation and aviation restrictions. Western nations closed airspace to Russian aircraft and banned aviation exports to Russia, isolating Russian airlines from global aviation markets. Aeroflot's aircraft maintenance moved to Iran, leading to safety concerns and operational challenges for Russia's flagship carrier. 5. Asset seizures and other measures. March 2022, over $1 trillion in Russian assets were frozen worldwide, affecting both government reserves and private oligarch holdings. Western authorities seized yachts, aircraft, and properties belonging to Russian oligarchs, adding pressure on Russia's elite. Russian media outlets RT and Sputnik were banned in the EU, limiting Russia's ability to spread its narrative in the West. Russia was excluded from numerous international research collaborations, affecting its technological and scientific advancements. The initial impact of sanctions on Russia. The immediate effect of the sanctions was a severe economic shock. The Russian ruble plummeted, losing nearly 50% of its value in a matter of weeks. Inflation soared due to a collapse in imports, making essential goods scarce. Foreign investment fled the country, and major corporations such as McDonald's, Apple, and BP exited the Russian market. The Central Bank of Russia, CBR, hiked interest rates from 9.5% to 20% on February 28, 2022, in an attempt to stabilize the ruble. This aggressive monetary policy prevented a full-blown financial crisis, but created a major liquidity crunch. Banks struggled to meet cash demands, and ordinary Russians faced rising costs on everyday goods. Despite these challenges, Russia took swift action to counteract the economic pressure, implementing drastic financial controls and seeking new trade partners. How Russia adapted and overcame sanctions. 1. Financial maneuvers. The CBR implemented strict capital controls, preventing currency outflows and forcing exporters to convert foreign earnings into rubles. Russia turned to China and India for alternative financial pathways, increasingly using the yuan and rupee for trade transactions. Domestic payment systems like Mir and alternative messaging networks replaced SWIFT for internal banking operations. Despite frozen assets abroad, Russia leveraged high energy prices to generate a surplus, stabilizing its economy. 2. Energy realignments. Russia redirected oil and gas exports to China, India, and Turkey, making up for lost European buyers. The shadow fleet of oil tankers allowed Russia to circumvent the G7 price cap, selling crude at higher than expected prices. Increased cooperation with OPEC Plus helped keep global oil prices favorable for Russian exports. 3. Import substitutions and parallel trade. With Western suppliers blocked, Russia imported goods via third countries such as Kazakhstan, the UAE, and Turkey. China became a crucial supplier of semiconductors, industrial machinery, and electronics that were once sourced from the West. Iran assisted Russia in maintaining its aviation industry by providing spare parts and maintenance support. 4. Government spending and military economy. The Russian government poured money into defense and war industries, creating new jobs and preventing a major economic downturn. Public spending kept employment stable despite the loss of Western investments. 5. Technological and digital adaptation. Russia increased efforts to develop domestic semiconductor production and AI-driven solutions. The digital ruble and other central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, emerged as potential alternatives for cross-border transactions. Long-term consequences and the future of sanctions. Despite Russia's ability to mitigate immediate damage, the long-term consequences of these sanctions cannot be ignored. Technological lag. Russia's reliance on outdated technology due to blocked imports could impact economic growth in the coming years. Industrial weakness. The loss of Western companies and financial networks may slow down industrial innovation. Economic dependency on China and India. Russia's pivot to the east makes it heavily reliant on these nations, reducing its economic independence. Sanctions fatigue in the West. Some Western businesses and nations are showing signs of easing restrictions, especially as enforcing them proves difficult. Meanwhile, geopolitical shifts, including the return of Donald Trump to the US presidency, could alter the direction of future sanctions. If Trump softens the stance on Russia, we might see a rollback of financial restrictions in favor of diplomatic negotiations. Russia's response to Western sanctions demonstrates its economic adaptability and resilience. While the initial shock was significant, the country employed strategic financial tactics, trade diversification, and government intervention to stabilize its economy. However, the long-term impact remains uncertain. Will Russia continue to thrive despite sanctions, or will technological stagnation and economic dependency weaken its position over time? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth analysis on global economic trends.